what are some secret market crypto trends that you guys should definitely be paying attention to? How to spot them on the charts and use them because they're very common, they're very simple and effective. Since I have been using these charts and charting them on my own, I have been able to turn a lot of my trades into more profits. I will show you guys how I do that later on in this video. We will also be talking about some altcoins, which will include Kaspa, SEI, and Arbitrum later on in this video, usually after the 10-minute mark. What their updated setups are, what their price targets are currently, and if anything has changed since the last time we have talked about it. If you guys want to skip ahead to the 10-minute mark, you guys can, but I highly don't recommend it because we need to talk about Bitcoin as well, which is the driver of this crypto market. If Bitcoin continues crashing, that would not be good for the altcoins. But right now, we're seeing a Bitcoin pullback that hasn't affected the altcoins too much just yet. Okay, so still very important to be paying attention to Bitcoin. I don't trade altcoins without a clear idea of what's happening in the Bitcoin charts. We're also going to be talking about some major crypto news here as well. So let's get into that first before diving into the charts. Now, this is first piece here is going to be by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin's most reliable reversal pattern hints at Bitcoin price rally towards 160K. Why is that important? It's because if Bitcoin has more room to run, and so will the altcoins. Okay, let's take a look into some takeaways here by this piece by this analyst. It says Bitcoin has confirmed an inverted head and shoulders breakout. Yes, I have a cup and handle breakout. I call it a cup and handle, but they're very similar patterns. Second point here, short-term pullback towards 114 to 115K may retest former resistance as support. Yeah, I mean, I think we're already basically there. I actually have opened a long Bitcoin position with leverage. Highly don't recommend that you guys do it if you guys are new to this market. It's going to take some experience to play with leverage. So if you guys are still new to this market, I would probably suggest that you guys get some profitable experience with spot first. All right, and then the next point here is that the MVRVZ score remains well below historical peak levels, signaling Bitcoin's rally still has room to run. Now, I don't use the MVRVZ score. I don't know what that is actually, but I think I have an indicator that's very much like it, which is the RSI. I will point out to you guys later in this video, but on the monthly RSI, we still have quite a bit of room to run. If you guys take a look at the Bitcoin monthly RSI, we're nowhere near that FOMO level near back in 2021, 2017. So in my opinion, I think Bitcoin still has quite a bit of space to go. Next piece here. This one's by Crypto Potato. Why did Bitcoin's price crash by 6K daily? And where is Bitcoin heading next? So yeah, we had quite a bit of volatility yesterday since it has hit about 123K. In my opinion, there was some signals that indicated this, which would include the bearish divergence on the 3-day time frame, right? Since yesterday's close, right? We do still have that bearish divergence right now, which usually indicates a pullback. However, we do also have bearish divergence on the monthly time frame as well, and there are exceptions, especially when it comes to big breakouts. The exception would be going back to December 2020, right? There was bearish divergence on the monthly RSI. However, the bulls kept pushing through for the next couple of months. Could this happen for this breakout here? It could, but also have to acknowledge the downside risk as well, just in case it is an exception this time, right? So just gotta gauge. In my opinion, of course, everything here is my opinions and speculations. None of which of what I'm saying in this video is financial advice. You gotta do your own due diligence. But I portion my funds. I open positions and portion my funds based on the amount of risk that I'm gauging on both sides, right? And right now, I'm gauging a higher chance of a more bullish price action here. And I'll let you guys know when I change my opinion. Next piece here, Cointelegraph. James Wynn returns with $19 million, leveraged Bitcoin long, 110k Pepe, 100k Pepe bets. Now I follow this guy on Twitter or X. I don't agree with everything he says, but right now it seems like to me that he's probably on the right side of the trade, going long. I mean, if you guys follow him and have any insights or any comments, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. But I try to just stay focused on my own charts here. I try not to pay attention to too much news or other opinions, especially now that I'm like 5+ years into trading. There's going to be a point in your trading career where you just want to listen to your own thoughts. And I think, for the most part, that's what I feel like doing right now. When I first started trading, yes, I would like to listen to almost everything, right? Because you want to soak in as much knowledge as possible and information so you can actually think about it. But after a while, when you're over the learning curve, it's, I kind of just feel like I want to just listen to my own thoughts. Now this one is by Global News Wire. XRP is about to soar to $3. Register for CJB crypto cloud mining and get $10 for free. Okay, so this is partially a advertisement, but XRP, the $3 price target, I think that's very much within reach. I did a XRP video not too long ago. I think I set the price target. The short-term price target will be $4. Of course, price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. Next piece here is by Crypto Potato. U.S. inflation surged in June. Bitcoin price rebounds to 117k. So that might have been part of the reason why Bitcoin dumped. Is because probably the inflation data, the CPI. I didn't really get too much into the CPI reports. But I do know that something I'm tracking here, which is the CME Watch tool, that our probability of a rate cut in September now has also decreased to about 55% from about 60 something percent yesterday. So it must have been not a good CPI report in terms of so inflation must have came back. That's just my guess because now that the Fed's probability of cutting rates in December has just decreased, so that's not good, right? And for July, it's not happening. Basically, let's see for October. For October, we still are you know, it is still very much in favor of a rate cut, but that's a few months out, and um, you know, the probabilities could really change by then. So a lot of data that comes out for the Fed. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the charts here because this is the more fun part. I'm not gonna be talking about the ES1 today, which is the stock market futures, because I think there's plenty to talk about. So we have Bitcoin here. This is the hourly chart. We have quite a bit of divergence on the RSI here, which usually indicates a reversal here, right? Quite a bit of short-term moving averages beneath Bitcoin right now, including the hourly 200, which is about just right underneath 115k there. and then we have the 12-hour 21 SMA. So these two moving averages I am going to be looking at for the next level of support. The 12-hour 21 SMA is currently at about 114K there, so pretty in line with what that analyst said, pointed out in the news there. So that's basically what I'm seeing. Now, supports usually mean that it's going to get a bounce. What happens at that bounce, it's not certain. Would it be a bounce that takes the price action higher, or will it be a bounce before it goes lower? So something to just consider. Let's go ahead and go to the 3-day time frame here, where since yesterday's close, there is now bearish divergence, right? We have a higher high on the price action chart compared with this high. However, an equal or lower high on the RSI. That's classic bearish divergence. Usually tells you there's going to be a pullback, something to be paying attention to. So yeah, so let's go ahead and go to altcoins and see what's going on in altcoins. First things first, we're going to be taking a look into Kaspa. Okay. What has gone on with Kaspa since the last time we've talked about it? Okay. This is the 3-day time frame. I'm going to wait for TradingView to load my chart here. Seems to be a little slow today. All right, 3-day time frame. Kaspa has broken out of this falling wedge pattern quite some time ago. Okay, this was back in April, right? Has not done too much since it has actually gotten rejected at that 13 cents price range, right? Came all the way back down to about 6 cents. Formed another falling wedge pattern, which is a very common pattern and a very effective pattern, which you guys should spot, right? If you guys start charting these patterns, this pattern is going to be especially easy to find, because it tells you after an extensive downtrend on that time frame, there usually is going to be a reversal. And in these two cases, it broke back out to the upside. Okay. Now, the price target for this bigger falling wedge pattern is still valid. It's going to be about 15 cents price target, which you measure by taking the opening of the pattern and then you put it on top of an either estimated or actual breakout point. Let's go over here to the daily time frame. Okay, daily time frame. It broke out of this falling wedge pattern, again the smaller one. Now the price target for this one is about 10 cents. Okay, now let's see if Kaspa actually gets there. Now these are shorter term price targets because these are daily time frame, 3-day time frame, right? What happens if Kaspa reaches those price targets? What I usually do is if it reaches those price targets and it consolidates there, I would chart the consolidation pattern, and to get more clues on if the chances of going up will be greater or the chances of pulling back will be greater. Even if you have price targets, right? I'm just gonna say from a general terms, even if you have upper bound price targets, there are still downside that I think you guys should be paying attention to, including fake outs, breakdowns that could dump harder. So just to name a few here, nothing in this market is 100%, and anything could come back around, right? Just gotta acknowledge both the upside risk and downside risk. So that's why it's very important to continuously chart the patterns. Okay, I update my charts on a daily basis, if not even more often. Now, I talked about this cup and handle pattern here as well. This smaller one, price target for this cup and handle pattern was about 9 cents. Kaspa broke out of this and basically reached that price target, so we can take those trend lines away. And let's see if it can actually reach that 10 cents price target before we come back here and refresh the charts. Let's go over here to SEI, see what's going on in this market here. Talked about this last time, okay? It has stayed on top of some of these daily moving averages, which is very important. Moving averages are another indicator you guys should definitely be paying attention to because it shows you where supports and resistances are, and why are supports and resistances important? Because resistance is usually indicative of a pullback. I like to take profits at resistance levels and buy at support levels usually, right? Now let's see what SEI could be doing here. Okay, comes to the weekly time frame. Um, weekly time frame here. I talked about this falling wedge pattern, this big falling wedge pattern here, right? Price target for the breakout of this thing is going to be about $1.25. And SCI has broken out of the smaller falling wedge pattern within this bigger one, right? Price target for that has not been reached yet, and the breakout still valid. Price target would be about 58 cents for the smaller one, which would basically take SCI out of this bigger falling wedge pattern here. Let's see if it can accomplish that, okay? Aside from that, I'm not really seeing any particular patterns for SCI on a smaller time frame. It is trying to reclaim that weekly 50 SMA right now at about the 32 cents price level, the white line here. It has reclaimed quite a bit of moving averages on the weekly, daily, okay, as you guys have seen. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, Arbitrum, see what has gone on in this market since the last time we have talked. All right, Arbitrum. This is the weekly time frame. I'm going to wait for my chart to load here, okay? Weekly time frame for Arbitrum. It has actually, let's see, this is a pretty solid candle close on top of the weekly 21 SMA, which was at about 35 cents, okay? I talked about this this bigger falling wedge pattern here. I adjusted the measured target because it looks like Arbitrum has actually broken out of this big falling wedge pattern that it has been forming since back in March 2024. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that was a brutal time for crypto. From March 2024 up to basically just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, yeah, we had some pumps here and there, but it was still a brutal time. If you guys been around since last year, which wasn't that long ago, yeah, you guys let me know how you guys feel. Price target out of this bigger falling wedge pattern here is going to be about $2.25. And it has actually broken out of the pattern. Okay, quite a bit of resistance above Arbitrum, okay, including the daily 200 SMA, the orange line, that's going to be very close, about 44 cents. I talked to you guys about the smaller falling wedge pattern that's probably more noticeable on a smaller time frame, but it broke out of that. Price target was about 40 cents. It went above that, and it's trying to get higher, right? Let's see if it could accomplish that. You have your daily 21 SMA crossing over the daily 50 SMA, and that's going to be coming up as support. So that's basically what I'm looking at for Arbitrum right now. Let's see what it does. If you guys want to continue seeing any more of these coins, make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe. I will let you guys know if there are any updates, if enough of you guys do that for me. And I'll see you guys on the next one. This wraps it up for this video.